extraordinaire, the Geomologist.
Welcome to the Geomologist Presents. Today we're going to catch up on the regulars. And by regulars, I mean the games that I've been running for quite a while now, or that are regular games that sort of happen every time, barring few exceptions. We rarely cancel, and they keep going. These games, there's 3 games, and I guess one is more of a group, because within that group, we play 3 regular games. But those games are Twilight 2000, which I've been running for 4 years. I started it on my birthday about 4 years ago. And then the next game after that I'll talk about is Traveller. And Traveller, I think, is coming on 3 years. I believe I started it in maybe 4 years. Did I start it in 2022 or 2021? Honestly, yeah, it's also 3 or 4 years. And then there is the home group. And in the home group, we've been playing Star Wars for a while. So long Star Wars we've been playing that we're on season 2 of a 3-season story arc for Age of Rebellion. We previously played Edge of the Empire, but it was more of a face-to-face and not sort of a regular thing, or maybe it was a regular thing, but that was a while ago. And then we've also been playing Bloodlords, and that's been pretty consistent. Where we finished book 2, and we're going to start book 3 after we kind of wrap up season 2 of the Star Wars game. And then we've been playing The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy 4th edition, and we're about to start book 5. In fact, tonight, as I record this, we're going to start book 5. So that's coming out soon. So that group has been pretty consistent and going on for a while. We sometimes play one-shots for like holidays or whatever, but these games have been consistent and consistently played. So like long-term games. And then finally, the newest of these, and I think it's doing really well, it seems consistent, and there's a consistent stable of players, is Hyperborea, and I've been running that pretty well, and I'm going to try to give reasons why these games have lasted so long, maybe give my insight and update you on what's going on in the games. And a lot of this is actually inspired by a recent podcast that I listened to by Shea Webster in Roleplay Rescue. And that episode was, I don't know the number or season, I think he's in season 14, but I think it is definitely the one entitled Recovering Purpose and Agency. And he kind of revisited it more in his most recent, The Most Important Game Mechanism. So it's an interesting question. Why do you have long-term games? Or why do they last? What's going on there? I don't think it's anything I do special, really. I feel like I'm more of a yes and GM and let the players ask questions. Can I do this? Can I do that? We try to find a way for them to attempt it, at the very least. Usually there is a die roll if it's something that you wouldn't just be able to do because of your character's skill set. But hey, let them try it, I guess. I don't know if that's a reason. Maybe not. But I think, first off, we can ask why this game has lasted so long to one of the players, and that being my longest standing game, which is Twilight 2000. Again, we started it 4 years ago we're in the 4th year, so I guess we started in 2022 on my birthday. And so this is 2021 on my birthday. Yeah, so this is the 4th year. And the original idea, I guess from my point of view, the original idea was to, let's start at the beginning, kind of go back to using the 4th edition, or the latest editions, the Twilight 2000, I think it's 4th edition, Free League version. It is very similar. Well, it came first. It doesn't use the dice pool like other Free League games use. It uses sort of an A through D rating system for skills and attributes, and you roll 2 dice, trying to get a 6 or better on those dice, but those dice range from a D6 to a D12, depending on your skill rating from D to A, or your attribute rating from D to A. So yeah, it's a good game. I went back to the first edition Twilight 2000 books. So we did very similarly. You're on your own, the Battle of Khalitz, and that's when the player characters are sort of their unit is disbanded wherever they're from. Initially, it was kind of NATO focused way back in first and second edition. Second edition may have added like civilians because they did focus sort of not focus, but they did kind of do when they came out with the rule set. They focused on both the European theater and what's going on in the U.S. So they had like civilian, the ability to make civilian characters, and in this new incarnation, and the Twilight 2013, which is very different and very different premise for how the war started. Also has a strong civilian component, and actually you're most likely to be a civilian than in the military. Whereas this one is kind of equally balanced, but it does give the option to not just play, one side or the other, but you can play a mix. So in our group, well, not really. It is kind of one side or the other, right? They're our adversaries, but in our group at least, there were two American expatriate living in Poland, a Polish partisan, so native of Poland, a German person who was with with German intelligence, and then the rest were American military. So it's a mixed group, and the pitch that I threw at them was, okay, we're going to try to play through the first 4 classic tetralogy books, and we've done that, but we're still playing, right? So we did Free City of Krakow, Pirates of the Vistula, Ruins of Warsaw, and Black Madonna, though we flipped Black Madonna and Ruins of Warsaw. Those games or those storylines have taken off, and now the crew or the group is back in Krakow and moving forward. We're coming to like a logical break point where, much like, let's say, Walking Dead, where between seasons or between some of the seasons, they'll break for like 9 months, and then you come back and this is what's gone on, behind the scenes, or things have moved forward, right? The time has moved forward. So that's kind of what I'm planning to do. And we might jump around and do other things in the Twilight 2000 universe, but then come back to the Krakow, the Polish, I guess it's, what is it called? The Polish theater, or what's going on in central Poland, south central Poland. So that's what was going on. And, but wait a second. Oh, someone hears me calling or talking about this, and they're calling in. Hold on. Right. So my wife, Amy, called in. She heard, I don't think she heard her name because I didn't mention her name, but she heard T2K. And I guess she's called in to do a question and answer as to why this game has lasted so long.
Well, you talk about T2K and Kasha's ears ring.
Oh, yeah. Well, Amy plays Kasha. Originally it was Kasha, none of your Bazinski. And now she has a different last name. We'll
Yes.
get to that.
Yes.
What's her last name now?
Lipovich.
Filipovich. All right. But the first question I have for you then is, I'm talking about trying to figure out why these games have lasted so long, and I don't think it's my fault. I just gave a premise as to what I had proposed, but what drew you to the campaign in the first place?
In the first place, because it was your birthday game and you asked if I wanted to play. And you explained to me that Twilight 2000 is a rugged game and it's survivalistic, and you had to be tactically minded and basically survive, however that might have to happen.
Yeah, and we've had a whole cadre of players. Initially, I think I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe
Well, I
6
thought,
or 7 people in the initial game.
yeah, for your birthday game, there was 7.
Yeah, but we've had all in total about 4, 5, 6, like 12 players come in and out of the game.
And they still do come in and out.
Right, right. So, and right now we have currently 2 regular players, but we've had upwards of like, I would say 5 or 6 regular players at some point, and then just schedules or conflicts or whatever occurred. Um, but I think that's part of it. I guess a testament is that there's regular players who want to keep playing and keep pushing the game. That helps me. Like I mentioned earlier, we did kind of go through the initial tetralogy, Greek City of Krakow, Pirates of the Vistula, Ruins of Warsaw, and then Black Madonna. So, which they've redone. The fourth edition has redone the Black Madonna, but it's totally different. Uh,
Yeah,
other
but they
than,
got favorite character.
yeah, yeah, they got rid of. Yeah, we'll get to that though. Um, well, then I guess the next question is what has kept you interested in the campaign then?
That it's a survival game. It's tactically minded. It's everything that I absolutely love.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you've done things to kind of immerse yourself in the game as well. Right. I know that you and the current player developed have developed elaborate and I would, from my point of view, maybe it's not true, but from my point of view, an ever-changing backstory about your character and his original character, because he's on a second character, and then their interaction and relationships with some of the NPCs.
Yes. I mean, we both love the game. He loves the fact that it's a game where you can kind of be yourself, but be completely different. I would say Kasha is very much a symbolic person of what I was at that age, what I wanted to do. Obvious reasons life changes and I couldn't go the way Kasha did. And I am not Polish and Russian in real life. So, but I mean, I wouldn't say that the story has changed dramatically. I mean, it has a backstory and a reason for existing, and myself and the other character. I mean, it's testament to the game when it is a constant conversation outside of gaming and we don't even start it necessarily, others do.
Right.
Either asking questions or poking fun or saying, hey, don't you do that in T2K only or whatever.
Right. Yeah, there's a big running joke because one of the players also plays in the home group and or this player plays in the home group and they don't want him around explosives because he messed up one time in any game, but then he always mentions, but I'm an explosives expert in this game in Twilight 2000, which is kind of funny. And you guys do definitely bring it up and talk about it a lot, which is interesting, I guess.
Well, I mean, isn't it a testament to a game that you enjoy the characters so much that they really kind of are your counterpart?
I guess in like an alternate universe, and perhaps maybe that's all that this is. Maybe we're
Well,
just one big
Will be
story. Huh?
in a character, and he'll call me by my character's name if I don't answer to my real name, and it's really funny. I'm like, don't call me that.
Well, there you go. I guess almost total immersion. I don't know. Anyway, I have another question for you, though.
Uh-huh.
How much longer do you think you'll be interested in this game?
I don't see my interest in it waning. I mean, there's so many aspects to it that can happen. And are you talking about just in the character I play right now, or are you talking about the different branches of Twilight 2000 that we've discussed?
Well, I
Because
mean, yeah, I mean, I guess the character that you're playing right now, I think there's still more story to be had.
yes,
And
she
then,
started
I
on,
think that character will evolve.
yes,
Life-changing things might happen. So I think
maybe.
that's what makes a good story, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, didn't weren't you mentioning to myself and the other characters, well, the other people that play in the game, the other characters, that there is, basically other storylines like going home or going and finding the subs, the submarines, or even far into the future after this when the world's kind of started recovering. There's another game.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So like 2300 AD is like the future of this verse, the Twilight 2000 verse that Games Designers Workshop originally came up with. So it'd be kind of, and then in that game it'd be kind of neat to if we were to jump or play a session of that game, maybe as a one shot, a multi-session one shot, then it'd be fun to refer to our Twilight 2000 campaign as sort of a, you know, a callback, right? So I think that'd be kind of neat to do. Yeah, but you're right. There's the whole Operation Reset storyline, which ties in with Going Home. Maybe it doesn't. There is a Going Home that you could even take. So there's like you guys are now playing multiple characters in a way. There's a whole stable in this Free Krakow coalition that you all have created. It's now like a company-sized unit, right, of some 300 to 400 strong, complete with a small air wing, right, and
And growing.
armor and infantry and artillery, right? So it's a very
Mhm.
strong company, and there's definitely more stories to tell. But then there's other parts or other subgroups in there that might have a different story or want to pursue a different storyline. And I think you guys have done a great job of separating those ideas. When you play them, because there's been instances where we've gone to that group and played those people. Those guys have their own identity, I think, which is really kind of cool for me. And then
We
I've
did that
also,
with our most recent game.
yeah, and I've also also been wanting to run like Red Star Lone Star because it takes place in South Texas. And that's going back to the U.S. and then having a completely different starting group and going from there, or just playing Red Star Lone Star and leave it at that, right? So, but then there's a whole storyline, right, that takes place in the U.S. that you're dealing with the two, maybe three different governments and trying to get the U.S. back on track. So it's pretty interesting. Uh,
Mhm.
it's a pretty interesting, I guess, meta plot that is going on in Twilight 2000, and really, I think what's cool is that you guys have sort of molded the basics of that meta plot and that background to make it your own, right? So it's now anything we do now after the ruins of Warsaw, when we finish that, anything we do is just no adventure, right? It's what you guys do or what you've done in the previous adventures to affect the world or the consequences of what you guys have done that affects the world that your characters exist in, which I think is a great way to start a campaign. And really that's it, right? It's just like the first chapter in the campaign.
Right. Well, I mean, wasn't the very first adventure called On Your Own? You're on your
Right, you're
own?
on your own, so yeah, and
Yeah.
there's definitely, I mean, if you look through uh, the YouTube about Twilight 2000, there's definitely different philosophies on how to play, and you could just play it like a total sandbox hex crawl. We are a very small unit, kind of surviving, going around surviving. You could play it as a conquest game, right, where you have like a company or greater sized unit like the Free Krakow Coalition, and then conquer territory, right, become warlords. But I think you're playing in a way the third group. Well, yes, you have a company strength unit, but you're trying to rebuild. And I think that's the third way that you can attempt to play Twilight 2000. And I think it's worked. It has more staying power. I mean, it's not a sim, but in a way, it's like a sim, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one consistent between all three different ways to play it is if you do not look forward and look at what's coming at you, if you're not thinking tactically, you're gonna die.
Yeah, that's true. You're very fragile. I mean, combats are pretty quick once we know the procedures and how they work. You get the jump on someone, you're gonna get them, right? That's pretty much the way it is.
But
Unless the dice aren't with you, because we do roll dice. Because of the fragile nature of the game, I think you have realized that you can't just go around shooting people up or getting into conflicts all the time.
no, Kasha's teased endlessly about collecting strays.
Right.
But getting back to the backstory that the other character and I had for our characters, it gives a reason as to why we would latch on to certain NPCs and why they're vital to us. Like Florian Filipovich, he's the ghost of Chestashova. Sorry, spoilers to those that are playing the original game, but I mean, we had to have a reason. Why would we not kill him? Every other group kills him.
Right.
And I looked at the other player and I'm thinking, and he was thinking the same thing. He's way stronger than us. He's got better stats than we do. it'd be better to be allied with him than antagonize him. And what good comes from killing him?
Right.
You know, everybody wins if he stays alive. And then, in the lore, his brother, and that stops a lot of different angles of the game and changes it that way too. But now Kasha is married to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it'd be fun talking about how do I see going forward. I see like a generational idea
Right. Yeah, definitely. I
because there's
definitely take an inspiration from like Pendragon and how that's a generational game. I can definitely see that potentially happening here in Twilight 2000. I don't know. I have to think about it. I mean, definitely like Kasha and Florian have more story. But yeah, I think that'd be kind of neat to see what happens in a generation or downstream many generations, right? That should be interesting.
Well, I mean, even looking at the other game that you were talking about that's far in the future, those could
Right.
be descendants
Yeah.
of the original characters, and you tie it in because they have to figure out their family history because all that stuff is gone now, except for what's been able to be saved.
Right. Yeah.
Except in France. I think nothing really happened bad in France. I mean, yeah, obviously the war was there, but I think they're like the only country that's really consistently not been as damaged, right? I
I
think.
think I think that's the way the lore works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So,
right. Well, not to cut you off, I'm sure we could probably have a whole episode on Twilight 2000, and maybe listeners want that in the future. But I got to talk about some other games.
okay.
But thanks for calling, though.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again, Amy, for calling in and talking about T2K. So the other game is quite different. The other game, the pitch I gave, well, hey, let's play Traveler. I've always wanted to play Traveler. Some of my players had always wanted to play Traveler as well, and we didn't really want to. There might have been one player who was interested in a particular adventure path, but I think the majority of them just wanted to go space trucking or to have ship will travel, right? So, and two of them actually got ships in their career path in the Traveler character generation system. One a scout ship and one a lab ship, and we've done a few adventures here and there, but in a way they applied the stars. And truth be told, when I say, hey, you want to jump to the destination, then they've always said, no, I'd rather just jump from planet to planet and see if there are any adventures there, or see if where the map takes us. So it is in a way a hex crawl, and some of the better adventures on it have been just ad hoc. This is sort of roll on the patrons, roll random encounter. We had a space battle in one case. We had a strange jump event turn into a shared jump mishap. That's what it's called, a jump mishap. And it turned out to be a very interesting adventure in diplomacy. And we really enjoyed it. And now, I think because of what they've done, the adventures have been rewarded. I do use the the advancement system from the Traveler Companion. It's very, gives like 1 XP per, and it takes a few adventures to train. You can also train as per original Traveler, like it takes time, but there's not much to do during jump, right? It's about a week of downtime, so people like study or do whatever. So we keep track of that, and it'd be great to talk to them too about what is the staying power behind Traveler. I know they definitely get involved. One of the players created spreadsheets to keep track of all the NPCs and everything, and also a couple of the characters love to work with the shipbuilder and build different ships and the like. So, and it's just been a fun group of adventurers, and like I said, they've been rewarded. So they've done some things. One was a planned adventure, but another one was kind of, again, the results of the results of pursuing leads that were not really covered, or post-adventure leads, got him into another conflict, which they triumphed, and eventually got them knighted as banner nobles. So that I think that takes a different turn from just sort of space trucking and trying to pay the mortgage on your ships. And I think I've decided to move away from that, and give them an upgrade to a ship, an upgrade in their position and station in the Traveler universe, and then moved on to another adventure. And we were able to start that. I had a couple some threads, like a murder mystery thread, and they're hobnobbing with nobles, and eventually they became nobles. And yeah, I think it's been great. We've seen character advancement and character development in the verse, so that they're becoming kind of movers and shakers and people of influence, or at least when they go to a world and they feel like they don't have to, but they feel like they got to call in on the local noble and pay their respects if they're below in station, or pay their respects as peers, and sometimes that leads to adventure. But it definitely they're playing it up, right? So I think that's great for me, and it keeps me interested. And clearly, the players, after like I said, going on 3 years, have been quite interested. So we'll see. I know in both these games, so Twilight 2000 and Traveler, there are the main players, but then again, like I said, there's a stable of different NPCs that can sometimes become main player characters in Twilight 2000. And here in Traveler, right, they need people to not pilot, they have a pilot. One of the characters is a pilot, player characters is a pilot, but they need people to man their ship, right? So that leads to a bunch of NPCs. Some players are cool with it, some players are not. Again, I guess in that case your mileage may vary, but you can't. What's the alternative? The alternative to me is not very satisfying. The alternative to me is trying to find passage on a ship from port to port. That could be fun and adventure in and of itself. But a lot of the Traveler is predicated on you having your own ship, have ship will travel, like I said. But just having, even on a smaller ship, unless it's a scout ship, you have more positions that need to be filled, right? So there's always going to be an NPC or a few. So I don't know. I kind of like it. I think it's cool. I enjoy my NPCs. I enjoy participating in that way, and I don't do voices or anything, but it's fun to give these NPCs personalities and run with ideas that I have. So there you go. I think Traveler is pretty strong. Like I said, we just started another set of adventures, and I think that's going to be there for the long haul. And then we'll see what we do after. If the player characters want to retire, and start anew, or move to another game. But we'll see. Or continue with these guys. That's also a possibility. There's the Traveler universe, even the official one, is so big. There's so much to do. And the time moves forward, right? So while we're still in game time, we're almost coming to 1 year from 1105 to 1106, Third Imperium Age, or whatever it's called, the calendar. But we've been playing for 3 years, so there you go. We got lots of. I'd love to continue playing. I like Traveler a lot. That's what I'm saying. So and I think the players seem to be buying in. So yeah, the next game, or the next group. Let's talk about that. Home group. Some of my closest friends in the world, truth be told. I've been gaming with one of them, I think, since like the early aughts. I mean, we were trying to figure it out. I don't know if it's as early as 2001, but definitely around 2005, 2006. I knew him, and then we were gaming. I can probably, hold on. But definitely towards the end of 3.5, or around 3.5 era D&D, which equates to, circa 2003, right? So that within that time frame, I've been playing with one of those guys since then, and then we definitely played into 4th edition and etc. So so that's quite a while. Like, man, a little over 20 years, maybe 20 years exactly, which is kind of cool. And the others guys I've met along the way, I've known when I worked in graduate school at a local gaming store, Dragon's Lair. I met another one, so I've known him for quite a while. So that's, circa. That's definitely 2005 also time frame. So yeah, I've known some of these guys for a while, and we've been playing not the same game clearly, and not always with the same people, but at least the core group, I've known them for quite a while, and we've been going on. I would say we've been going on since things reopened for COVID. In I think 2021, we've been playing The Enemy Within, and then we've rotated some games through, right? So originally it was like every other week, and then we decided to do every week and play another game on the off weeks, and that started as Star Wars Age of Rebellion. And I had the premise was I'll set this before the Battle of Yavin. We'll do this sort of arc, on the Onderon arc, not Alderaan, Onderon arc, where they capture a listening post and in a way liberate Onderon, or prevent Imperial influence from lingering or getting a foothold there. So we did that. Then we're right now in the second season, and it's kind of after the Battle of Yavin, sort of contemporary with The Empire Strikes Back, and they like what happened on Hoth with the Skywalker saga in Star Wars. They were driven from their hidden rebel base. There was some betrayal. They found out who the betrayer was and now tracked him to an Imperial world, and now they're there causing problems on the Imperial world, and that'll probably be season 2. And then season 3 will probably, I don't know when I'd pick that up, but we are now rotating that, finishing that season 2, and then jumping back to another game that we picked up, Bloodlords. So we've been dabbling and wanting to do Pathfinder 2, which honestly I'm going to count 3 failed attempts at running an adventure path in Pathfinder 2. I started with Abomination Vaults and Kingmaker. We did that. I also tried the one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one where you're like a circus troupe, which is pretty neat, but it just, I don't know, fizzled for various reasons, right? So this one here we're on book 3. So we just finished Graveclaw, and now we're on book 3, The Field of Maidens, in the Bloodlord saga, and the characters are 8th level, which is pretty good in Pathfinder. I haven't gotten, in a D&D type game, I haven't gotten characters to that level for quite some time, so it's pretty nice to see. I have finished a Paizo Adventure Path. I got close to Kingmaker in first edition, and we did finish the Starfinder Adventure Path, the first one. I don't remember the name of it that they had out. It should come to me. It'll come to me when I look it up on Wiki. So that adventure path was called Dead Sun. So we finished that one, actually with one of the players that's in my home group. A couple players who are in my home group still. So, which is kind of neat. So I guess that means I've known another guy, because I think that was the first game that we played with him. So I've known that other guy for like nearing 10 years, or seven years that would be. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And so this one looks good. We really had fun with this Bloodlords campaign. It's a little different. They're not evil, but they're definitely existing in a country that's ruled by undead. So it's a challenge for them to navigate the machinations of immoral or amoral creatures, and I think they're having a good time with it. So it's pretty fun. We've definitely gotten into this next type of games shenanigans, and maybe that's part of the staying power. And I think the reason for these long-term campaigns is that these are the games we're interested in. We play all the time. It's a lot of social time, not just at the game, but in other places, whether we meet at our local watering hole flying saucer, or go out for dinner, or have dinner in right before we game together. I think that's a big part of it. So yeah, I think that's why the staying power is there to now start book 5 of the Enemy Within adventure campaign for Warhammer Fantasy. And we've actually played with 3 of these players a previous Warhammer Fantasy campaign that we did start live and then finished on Roll20, and we did Terrors of Talabheim, which I adapted for 4th edition, but it's a 2nd edition product, where Skaven overrun the city of Talabheim. So they did not play the Skaven side, they played the other side, and it was very satisfying. And then we played some other one-shots here and there. I think in that particular campaign I threw in Rough Night at the Three Feathers and some other adventures as well. So yeah, that was a really fun campaign, and now we're on our 2nd Warhammer Fantasy campaign, and this is great. And there's even talk of a new one. And what's the new one? You say, oh yeah, we'll go to Lustria. I think we're go to like the equivalent of the New World in the Warhammer, on the Warhammer planet, in the Warhammer verse. So definitely a Lustria campaign. They're trying to convince me to play all lizard folk, but probably not. And I don't want a party of skinks either. But it might be fun to do like a one-shot here and there, and we always talk about it because we do like the Warhammer verse. A one-shot where we play all greenskins, orcs and goblins, or we play Skaven, or which would be really crazy and fun, especially with the supplements from the Enemy Within. The Horned Rat Companion has like how to play Skaven, really. The only thing it's not the only thing it's lacking is actual character creation procedure, but it pretty well you can adapt it. I think you can adapt it pretty easily using both the core book, the Horned Rat Companion, and the I want to say Imperial Zoo, maybe Imperial Zoo because it helps you with templates and the like. Or the Horned Rat Companion helps you with the templates for Skaven. So, right, that idea of trials that came out in Trials and Tribulations, is that the name of the book? Tribes and Tribulations, which just gives you a lot of templates for orcs and the like. So yeah, I think it should be pretty fun. And this group, I guess for that one is, I propose this campaign. Okay, let's do it. Let's try it. And I don't know if we've had any. We have had a few balks, so it's not true that with every campaign we start that we finish. So we have had some failures or things that are in limbo. Right, so we did attempt to do the Odyssey of the Dragon Lords for 5th edition. We have done at least the first adventure in the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. It's not Danger at Dunwater, it's the other one, the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. We did that one for 5e though, using the Ghost of Saltmarsh tome. We played a couple of Iron Kingdoms we played a one shot, and we played through the Legacy of the Witchfire for Iron Kingdoms 5th edition. And we did try to do a Death Watch, but it just didn't work. I think the player characters would rather not play Space Marines, it seems, or they'd rather play, if they play in the 40k verse, they'd rather be like Inquisition type, more like Dark Heresy level, as opposed to playing Space Marines. So we've had some games that haven't moved forward or come to fruition, though I would say like Imperial Maledictum is on the docket after we finish the Enemy Within campaign. And then we do one-shots now and again, whether it's Octoon Cthulhu or Mothership, or we've done, we did a fun Righteous Blood and Ruthless Blades. We've done some Savage Worlds, Monster Squad as well, and some Deadlands. So, with this group, we do quite a few things. So there you go. That's the home group and where we're at. Last game I'm going to talk about, which is kind of like the new kid on the block, since I've only been playing it since I would say like May. And I did like a Session 0 prequel with a couple of my regular players that are actually in the Traveler campaign. And then I ran it again at North Texas RPG Con, where I met some other players and just kind of had it as a one-shot, but gave the premise. So the premise is they're on this island that have been, there's a fort there. These people are in charge. They're encouraging adventures. And the premise is really, for me, is drop in, drop out. But the drop in, drop out has been pretty consistent. Well, the drop out hasn't been consistent, but the drop in has been pretty consistent, which is kind of neat. And the characters are now about 3rd through 4th level, more or less. They have a good group of henchmen. They've explored the island, and I have like a job board. I have rumors, and there's rumors that they haven't dealt with or explored yet. There's plenty of places to explore on the island, and then there is also a hint of like a dungeon there, or dungeon type site there, which I'm honestly using the Caverns of Thracia by Janelle Jacques as sort of that adventure site. If they ever get to it, and maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be like tired of the island and leave. It's a big world, is Hyperborea, and there's plenty of things to do. I really enjoyed the latest offering that Northwind Games has put out. Those 3 adventures are really neat. So they could go there, or I have the whole host of other adventures. So yeah, or they might get tired and go, I'm tired of these characters, or they conquer the island. Let's start again. But there are things that are happening on the island, and I really I've taken inspiration from Kevin Crawford's Red Tides and An Echo Resounding to kind of have a living and dynamic world. So things the players do have consequences, and we've had 2 pitched battles. A couple sessions ago, we had a pitched battle that was a consequence of something the player characters ran into and used extreme prejudice against, and the retaliation was to attack their home base lagoon area, and it was a fun, really fun battle to run, actually. And then we've had some adventures since then, but things have been triggered, and I think that's really cool. They're learning mysteries. I think they definitely enjoy it, and I've enjoyed running it. So I think that one's got some good staying power. Like I said, we have a regular group of people who drop in, and some people who drop in and then have only played once or twice, and that's fine. That's the idea. Now the premise is you will start at 1st level. That's part of this Wes March's drop in, drop out type of game, inspired by people like Jason Hobbs in his legendary Kalmata campaign. So them's the rules, right? So also the Forlorn Shores, that is a group GM'd. Multiple GMs have their own groups, and then you start at 1st level, and cool. Or if you play more, you go higher, right? That's the way it is. So a pretty cool game. Really enjoyed it. Again, things have been triggered. Things happen. I roll randomly. A lot of it is predicated on random encounters. I have sites that things happen at. So it's kind of neat. It's fun to do, to populate things, change the rumor boards all the time. So I think for me, it helps. It helps. And of course, it seems like the player characters are interested. So who knows how long that one will go. Like I said, it's a new kid on the block. It's a new group. But everyone always seems fun and excited about playing. So anyway, that's probably enough for now. I do have one of the things the players did, and maybe this helps with immersion to keep them staying, is he has written sort of a narrative of the last session, what happened in the last session. So I think maybe I might put that as a bonus episode. If I can work it, I'll work some magic on it like M.W. Lewis does with his Monday night AD&D. But I think that's great that he's done that, and I look forward to getting more of those. I was trying to do one for the battle, but it kind of stalled, so maybe that'll come. Maybe I'll be inspired. Anyway, thank you for listening. This has been the Geomologist Present. Send me some feedback. Let's talk about staying power in your long-term campaigns, why it works, why it doesn't. Has it worked? What do you think? I mean, I don't know if this helps. It could also be player driven, right? So nothing that we do as a GM could really matter. We just propose it and are there to run it, and the players are the ones that drive it, right? But let me know. Send me some feedback. That would be great. You can reach me with a DM on the Discords. That's usually the best way. Send a voice message or type it out and I'll read it. Or you can leave me a message on SpeakPipe, which I have here in the show notes. Or you can send me an email at geomologist@gmail.com. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks for my mysterious benefactor who does the intro and outro music. And for Amy, who does a cover clip art. I hope you're having a great holiday season, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night and good rolling.